Hello, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. This is Jeff Kennedy, the VP of Sales Partnerships with Leading RE, and I am here today with Morgan Carey, one of our preferred vendors, solution group partners, and a good friend with Real Estate Webmasters. Morgan, thanks for meeting us today.
Hey, no problem, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, the title that you came up with for our webinar today is pretty cool. It's the secret to crushing it with hyperlocal SEO ads strategy. And I like the word crushing it. It has a certain meaning to it, not just getting by, but crushing it. Now, tell me a little bit about what you meant with that title.
Yeah, I think the whole point of the presentation is to address the big portal lie, right? And that is that you can't compete, let alone crush it in search engines, right? Whether that's paid advertising or whether that's SEO, especially with SEO, Zillow has convinced people that only they can rank for keywords, only they can do leads, and you have to come buy leads from them. But quite frankly, that's all BS, right? We know at Real Estate Webmasters, because we do literally like billions and billions of dollars of transactions through this process every year, that it's actually very affordable. And the dirty secret is it's not even that difficult to combine an SEO and an AdWords strategy in order to get just massive ROI. So when I mean crushing it, I mean, hundreds and hundreds of % increase in ROI, not one or two extra deals a year. So I came up with this. Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, it's pretty easy to maybe say in your mind or think in your mind that you can compete with Zillow if you have 1,000 agents or 5,000 agents or whatever. But are you saying that even mid-size, so the smaller brokerages have the ability to compete?
Yeah, exactly. So the whole point of what we have on the screen here. So we actually decided to test this, right? Not this theory, because it wasn't a theory, but we decided to become our own case study. So my wife is an individual agent, not a team, not a brokerage, an individual agent here on Vancouver Island, and that's the case study we're going to present. And so the idea is that this very same process scales up for teams and brokerages as well, right? But if we can get first page rankings as a single agent, don't you think 1,000 agent brokerage with all that leverage and all that authority would be able to do an even better job?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So yeah, the idea here. So carey.com, less than 2 years in real estate during a pandemic, working part-time. So those are some important stats, so that when we go through this thing and we get to the ROI at the end, people can understand, like, this is the no bullshit case study. This is actually what we do. We're eating our own Cheerios, right? And so I'm going to take us through, talk about sort of AdWords and SEO as a combined strategy, because there's some really cool things that happen when you put the two things together, right? So first, let's talk about pay-per-click. I think most people know what pay-per-click is, right? It's the ads that show up on the top of search engines and all their various partners, whether that's on a phone or various AdSense partners, things of that nature. But basically, you're going out and you're bidding on keywords that you really want, right? So for us, like I said, we focus on luxury waterfront properties. And so here's an example of a specific keyword, right? Something like waterfront homes for sale, Vancouver Island. And as you can see here, there's 1.6 million results. It's actually a pretty competitive keyword. There's lots of people in there. And this is the output of a paid ad strategy. You'll see a little ad to the left. You'll see the ad. You see us in the #1 position. And the idea about this particular keyword, and we were talking about this before the call, is that it is not top of the funnel, right? Zillow goes for the big generic volume keywords like Miami real estate or things of that nature, where somebody could be researching. It's not very targeted. They could be researching, just the market in general, or they'd be way, way, way outside of the buy cycle. Versus as you go down and you get more specific, and this is what we mean by hyperlocal, right? You get specific on the area and you get specific on the terms. So I think it makes a lot of sense. If somebody types in homes for sale as opposed to real estate, they're going to be far more likely further down the funnel. Would you agree?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, so we don't even try to compete for the generic terms because we don't want the traffic, right? We don't want to call 1 million leads to close a deal when I can call 10 leads to close a deal, right? It's all about giving us our time back. So, and the other dirty secret. Go ahead.
Are you on your when you do your terms, whatever the word is, I forget what you said it was. If I said it was for mid-century modern or log cabins or whatever, the more specific you can get, you might get less leads, but they're going to be higher quality because it's going to be your specific niche. Is that what
Well,
saying?
exactly. So it's not just about your niche, but that's a great point, right? Is that so you can target, which allows you to give you exactly the leads you do want, but it's further down the funnel. So the point being is something like homes for sale has more intent than real estate, right? Because somebody is looking for, the more specific the keyword, the more intent they have. So yes, you can get a lot higher conversion rates and talk to a lot less people with the more targeted your leads are, right? So top of the funnel, you get 1 million leads. You have to call all of them, and you never know what you're going to get. Middle and bottom of the funnel, people are ready to buy right now, right? And that's part of this case study is that, I'll go off script here a little bit. We started this SEO campaign in December, right? And December 17th, we got our first lead from a waterfront related keyword. It closed less than 30 days later, right? It was a multi-million-dollar property. Specific, they typed in waterfront homes for sale, Vancouver Island, right? That is high intent. That is bottom of the funnel. People talk about, generate all these cheap leads and then nurture them for years and eventually they're buying. No way, right? Get further down the funnel and you'll get your deals closing in 30, 60, 90 days, not 2 years, and hopefully, right? So hyper-targeted.
If Zillow's at the top of the funnel and you're competing with them up there for this big, broad, little searches, why not get down to that middle or the bottom of the funnel where your conversion rate's going to be higher? They're ready to move now. It's not a long incubation period, and Zillow's not playing in that space, so it would be easier to get your leads costs down.
Well, but the thing is, Jeff, you don't even want to compete with Zillow. You do not want, even if you could take every #1 spot from Zillow, you don't want it because you don't want to call that many cold leads, right? Zillow sells leads.
That's true.
And so they want as many as possible. Zillow is VC funded, and so they want as much traffic as possible. They don't care as much about the quality of the lead. But when you're an individual realtor or a team leader or a brokerage, what you care most about is quality of life and time for your people to keep them engaged. And of course, obviously, you want them to close deals. So if they can make the $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year they want to make, and they can do it in, 1,000 hours a year instead of killing themselves for 50 grand, I think that's a pretty good value proposition for any brokerage, right?
I guess that would depend on the cost. I know we haven't gotten into that. Maybe later in your slide deck. But yeah, let's make sure we hit on that at some point.
It does. So the other point I want to make is because obviously I run a massive company and we have the ability, if we wanted to drive a lot of sort of inorganic results in the sense of we could throw tons of authority and tons of links and stuff that the average agent, team, or broker couldn't do. But it's very important for this particular case study that we don't do that. So we use Real Estate Webmasters services out of the box, just like any other customer who comes to us. And I've pulled up this dashboard, which might be familiar to the SEO nerds in the room. It's the SEM Rush dashboard. And what you'll see is we only have an authority score of 15. That is nothing. This is a score out of 100, right? Leading RE is probably like a 90, right?
I've got 2 questions actually. One is, your wife is Carey, right?
Yeah.
Was she mad at you for treating her like everybody else and not throwing the kitchen sink for her? Question number 1, don't answer that.
Yeah.
Question number 2 is, I'm not an SEO nerd and have no idea what I'm looking at. So authority score, I have no idea what that means. Can you just explain that for me?
Yeah, so the point is that like everyone talks about the power of Zillow, and what they really mean is their authority, right? So when Forbes or the New York Times or anyone links to your website, it gives you more and more authority, so that score gets bigger. Makes sense, right? Anything that was highly reputable that links to you is going to help you become more reputable. And so the point of this 15 is it's terrible, right? This is only 3 months of SEO, right? This is only 15 out of 100 is, whether you know what an authority score or not is, you kind of know that that's not a very high score, right? And when you look at the referring domains, we only have 51 domains in total out there in the internet. that are linking to us. It's not like we went out and built a million backlinks.
What's standard in that space? 51 to me sounds like a lot, but it's not. Like, what is it? What is a regular brokerage or agent? What's a good one to have? How many backlinks do they have?
I mean, more established brokerages can have thousands or tens of thousands, right? So if you take if you took a Howard Hanna, for instance, I mean, again, we're using an individual agent with no authority. As if we can beat Zillow, then Howard Hanna can beat Zillow. Do you know what I mean? If you were to look at the backlinks for Howard Hanna, I guarantee you it's hundreds of thousands, right? And so brokerages have a way bigger opportunity than even we have here. 51 is nothing. Do you have 51 friends in real estate that might link to you? Probably, right? We're all connected on social, right? Do you have a few forums that you post on? Whatever. This is not a lot at all. So that's the point of it. Is it's all green, which is great. You can see the organic traffic growing, but we've done it on a shoestring. We've done it on almost no authority, and we've done it on almost no backlinks.
Interesting. And is this? I know I saw something come across on you guys had a big rollout of is it Renaissance? This is your new kind of program. Is that what this is, or is that something like an add-on to this?
Yeah, no, Renaissance is the newest framework from Real Estate Webmasters. And so Carly was actually the very first agent on Renaissance, and she only launched in December, right? And so I think we've probably sold about 500 of them in the first quarter. It's pretty crazy. Very popular product. It's kind of blowing up because of, I think, accessibility was something we worked on with you guys and talked a lot about in terms of ADA compliance and fair housing. So it's 100% accessible. It's the world's fastest website. It's got killer conversion. And as you can see, it ranks really well for SEO. But if you go back, it also looks beautiful, right? And that's kind of what Webmasters is known for, right? And here's the result, right? Like we looked at the ads back here, right? You got your keywords, you got your ads, but this is the real deal. This is the proof in the pudding, is that Carly is ranking already in 90 days, #2 in Google for our most preferred, highly targeted keyword. The only person that we have to, or not person, the only website we have to beat now is Sotheby's Realty. And so for the agents in the room who think you can't compete with a Zillow or a Redfin or a Sotheby's, I can promise you that you can, right? We do it all day long, right? And yeah, we got a little bit of work to do because I won't be happy till I get #1, right? But this is exact keyword phrase, and we know this because our CRM tells us this, that closed a $1.5 million deal in less than 30 days of the program, right? So we know the value of the keyword. But the other thing is really important, and this is, you asked me what some of the secrets of how we do this are. There's a bunch of studies that talk about, and I think anyone who studied marketing knows this as well, talks about the more often you see a brand, the more, I think you need to see a brand like 7 times or something like that, right? So when you do both AdWords and SEO, meaning you have both spots, you have the organic position and the ad position, a consumer is seeing that twice in one search, right? So it's building validation for your personal brand, your team brand, or your brokerage. But the other cool thing is that there's actually data that shows that when you have ads and search engine optimization in place, when you show up on the first page, oftentimes people will skip the ad because they're kind of trained to do that, but they make a mental note of the ads. And then when you show up in the organic position, they're actually 30 to 50% more likely to click on your organic result, which doesn't cost you any money because they saw you as an ad first, right? And so that's, I think, there's a lot of science, obviously, and science that I'm not responsible for, of course. Like, this is Google science. Google wants to make sure people understand the benefits of why they should want to focus on, on Google, right? And so we get a lot of help from our friends at the search engines to compete with Zillow because they want us to, right? They want everyone wanting to be on Google, paying for ads on Google, etc. And they know if they give us a great ROI and they help us do it, then we're going to win, right?
So as a layperson, just again, I'm not in the tech space too much. You're saying that yes, do the organic search and organic work to kind of earn that space on SEO, and also find the ads make sense. It's not an either or. If you have the budget to do both, they can play in and augment each other rather than compete, right? And then
Correct.
as far as keywords go, my first question would be, how do we know what keywords are good? Is there a way to test that? Do you just have to guess and hope that it works out? Like, how does that whole thing work out?
Well, most people hire professionals for paid ads and SEO, to be honest, because as you say, like, while it sounds like it's simple to me, it's not. These terms are not familiar to most, and that's okay. But yeah, let me answer your question. So if you can do both, right? Because of those exact things we just talked about. If you can show up in an ad and an organic, think about billboards, right? Like if you had two billboards on a highway, right, and one was really beneficial to you, and then 5 minutes later you had another one that was really beneficial. Doesn't it make sense to have two billboards, right? You get twice the branding, you get twice or we're in the real estate space, right? And so having twice the real estate, having twice the retail space, whatever your concept is, more is better when it comes to exposure, right? So yes, it's best to do both. If you can't do both, do paid ads first. And the reason why is it's far less expensive, and because you can control it. You can spend $500 or $500,000 in a month, either way, and the traffic and the leads will be relative to your spend. But then we tell people, again, if budget is your constraint, then you reinvest. As soon as you close a deal, you reinvest into more paid ads until the paid ads are generating enough revenue that you can do both, and then you should do both. But if you can do both right away, do it. Any team or brokerage that's successful should have a budget for this. And I'm going to talk about the budget in the end, but this is the other thing that I want to talk about in terms of like if paid ads are upfront, right, and they're immediate, but they cost you money, SEO is a long-term play. And so I pulled up this graphic just to show the last 3 months, right? And what you'll see is traffic compounds over time with SEO. So you spend the same amount of money every month, you put the same amount of effort in every month, but instead of getting the same amount of traffic like pay-per-click, in SEO, you get more and more and more traffic over time. So Carly's site is now about 6,000 visitors a month. She pays $3,000 in SEO. She's paying about 50 cents a click right now. By the end of the year, she'll be at 30,000, still only paying $3,000 a month. So SEO is a long game. It compounds and builds over time, right? And so as you do that, you can actually reduce your paid ad spend or increase the amount of agents you have, which is usually the preferred method, right? Is that you get more leads, you can use them to recruit, you can use them to retain. And the other part that I wanted to pull out about the combination of paid ads versus SEO is that because SEO is a long-term play, it's important that you understand the value of a keyword before you start trying to rank for it. And so pay-per-click allows you to test it immediately, right? You can say, okay, cool, I want to do, waterfront condos in Miami, right? I think that's going to be a good keyword, but I don't know if it's going to perform well or whether it's going to be too competitive or whatever. You can go buy that and you can test the traffic right away inside of a month. And if it hits you a deal right away, or you realize the value of those leads are really high, you could go, okay, cool, I'm going to double down on that on my paid ads, and I'm going to focus on it for SEO, right? Or alternatively, you might want to test one of those more generic keywords. You might bid on Miami real estate. I don't recommend that you do, but you might. And you might go, wow, this keyword's great. Or more likely than not, you'll say, wow, the conversion rate of this keyword is actually way lower. So you're not going to focus on it because it'll cost you a lot of money and a lot of time for SEO, and you know that the quality's not there, right? So paid ads are awesome in that they can instantly test the quality of a particular keyword before you optimize it. But to answer your question, if you're not paying a professional, there's lots of cool tools that you can use. Sem Rush was one of them that I have a screenshot here from Sem Rush. So if somebody wanted to try to figure out the keywords themselves, there's lots of really great softwares and tools out there. And you can also join the REW community, which is totally free and you don't have to be a customer. It's at rew.com/forums, or you just click on community at rew.com. We'll happily tell you everything, right? We want people to, knowledge is power, and And we know that customers will do a great job and do their best job trying to do this themselves, and they're going to get so busy that eventually they're going to want to hire us anyways, right? But yeah, come to the community. We'll tell you all the keywords you need. It's no secret, right?
Yeah. What I found just anecdotally is that agents are usually good with people. They're good at doing agent things, and it can be a hassle, a headache, and expensive to try to do the tech side of things on your own when you're not an expert at it. And so often it's better to just pay the money, have somebody that knows what they're doing, do it right, and then you can focus on doing what you do, which is meeting people, selling properties, building relationships and all that, and let the tech magic kind of work behind the scenes, for me at least.
It's true. And the thing about it is that it costs nothing, right? People are always like, oh, how much does this cost? It must be so expensive. If you actually just focus on what you're good at, it's a profit center. It doesn't cost anything. But from a budget perspective, even brokerages spend, like large brokerages, their SEO budget is going to be like max 5 to 10 grand a month, right? That is less than one full-time marketing employee, right? And at that kind of spend level, you're going to be generating millions in GCI, right? And so who cares, right? Why would you try to figure out this stuff? Do you want to go make millions in GCI, or do you want to save 100 grand? Right? It's a silly conversation once you get into the numbers. Obviously, this is about show and tell. This is about proof is in the pudding. So I did bring up, this is just waterfront terms. So going back to the Sem Rush, we have over 2,000 keywords just in the first quarter ranking. But this is Google's actual webmaster tool. So this is no I don't have any cookies or anything. And just for the keyword waterfront. And as you can see, we've got tons of keywords ranking on the first page, right? And really good phrases: waterfront island homes for sale, waterfront Vancouver Island, waterfront cottage for sale, Vancouver Island. Like, that's targeted. Somebody is looking specifically for a cottage on Vancouver Island on the waterfront, right? That is so much better of a keyword than actually even our own keyword here, waterfront Vancouver Island. I'm glad to take the free traffic, but I wouldn't pay for it, right? Because that's one of those top of the funnel keywords. I have no idea what somebody means when they type in waterfront Vancouver Island, but I definitely know what they want when they type in waterfront cottage for sale Vancouver Island, right? So again, thinking about SEO versus PPC, SEO, cool. I'll take lots of relevant traffic. It's good for branding, right? But paid pay-per-click, I would never pay for waterfront Vancouver Island because it's not specific enough. It's not targeted. I already know through experience that any traffic I get from that keyword is less likely to be high quality, right? But I mean, properties for sale, Vancouver Island homes for sale. I mean, this is the real deal. This is what people want, right? And
Got a couple of questions that came up that I'll read off real quick. Just if you guys have questions, please feel free to put that in the question box. We'll answer all of them. I know we're getting close to the end of our session here. One of them is, will we get a recording? Absolutely. We'll have a recording, should be auto sent to you. If it's not, email me at jkennedy@leadingre.com and we'll get it to you. And the other one is, what's the approximate cost for somebody to be able to do this? And I think we're definitely gonna hit that before we end so that they know if it's $10 million or.
Yeah, I think that's one slide away. So this is the last piece, right? Obviously the rankings are great, but this is a screenshot from our CRM, and this is 30 days, only 30 days. We've been talking about, since we started this thing. In the last 30 days, we have, 55 $1 million plus verified buyers. Not just leads, but you see this quick note here where it says 1.5 million could go up to 3 million on the waterfront. That only happens when the realtor has spoken to the person and verified their budget. We have 55 $1 million plus buyers on our system right now. That's $55 million in potential production in 30 days. And, obviously people might go, well, cool, there's a lot of house porn on Vancouver Island. Everyone's looking at waterfront. We submitted 3 offers and closed 2 deals last week. And so.
And they contacted you, talked to them, so they're not tire kickers or loosey-loos, or they wouldn't be here. This is kind of filters all that out. They're like legit people that are looking.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. And depending on how good you are, your numbers are 2 to 10%, right? So you're still going to have people who are further out and whatever, right? But whether it's 2% or 10%, depending on how the 2% way up at the top of the funnel, the 10%, you get more targeted. You can close 1 in 10, not 1 in 20, not 1 in 50, right? And so that's the philosophy. Would you rather have a 10% conversion rate or a 2% conversion rate, right?
What what kind of investment did Carly return on those buyers in the first 30 days?
Yeah, so let's just talk about the quarter. So this is her first full quarter. And again, remembering that the vast majority of the spend is actually in SEO. So SEO is a more expensive long-term investment. And when we go back to the whole graph, as you can see, it compounds. So right now, she's just in the beginning of her investment. But when you go back to the ROI, we have 15,000 new users on the website, 500 leads. We spent, and this was the question, we spent $18,000 on marketing. 15,000 of that was SEO, so $5,000 a month, right? That's a big budget, right?
Yeah.
She's very committed to making sure she dominates the luxury space. But you could start as an individual agent or team at like $2,000 a month, right? We're spending 5 because we really want to take a big swing at this. And that's the only difference. She gets no special treatment. She has a bigger budget, so she's going to go a little faster than someone with a $2,000 budget. She spends less than $1,000 on paid ads a month. So $5,000 a month in SEO, 1,000 for PPC. So she's spending $6,000 total. And in this first quarter, and again, remembering we've still got all those buyers to talk to. This is just this first quarter results. We've done $100,000 in GCI on an $18,000 spend.
Plus the SEO compound to compound. So 6 months, 9 months, 10, a year from now, it's going to be, should be way higher as far as the leads bringing in.
Yeah, of course. It's going to be 10 times the traffic with no extra spend, right? $5,000 a month every month. $5,000 a month right now is already bringing in 6,000 visitors organically, right? That same $5,000, if we keep doing it by December, is going to bring in 30,000, right? We have a guy, Justin Haver in Calgary, and he doesn't even use our SEO services. He has his own internal SEO people, right? He did 4 million page views with one website in 1 month last month in Calgary. 4 million. He also does like 800 million or something in sales, right? And almost all of his web traffic is organic, right? It's absolutely insane. Now, it's taken him 10 years to build that, right? But that's the whole point of traffic, SEO, compounding, right? Over time. And I'll tell you, we don't really want to run a team, but we're already gearing up to add referral partners because we can't handle, like, quite frankly, that screen back here, Carly only works the $1 million plus leads. That's all she has time for. We have hundreds and hundreds of other leads that come in, and we don't even do anything with them right now. It's embarrassing.
If you're a broker owner listening to this, then you could do the same thing Carly's doing at the same cost, and then you have all these leads that you could give to your agents with a different split schedule, or just a lot of things you can do with that. It's just value add.
Everyone does 50-50 on this. I'll tell you right now, everyone who, I mean, we've got several multi-billion-dollar producers who do exactly this model where it's like either a team or a brokerage or a teamridge, right? And they're going to do a 50-50, sometimes even more, right? And the logic they use is even if they are 90-10 brokerage regularly, right? They tell people, hey, if you want in on these leads, because it's a special paid program, we're spending 18 grand or whatever we're spending, this is an opt-in, because we'll track them separately, right? And it's just a way to add additional revenue as an individual agent to your pipeline. Would you rather have 50% of something or 100% of nothing, right? And what they find happens is those people actually want to take more and more of those leads, because even though it's only 50% the commission, they're only spending 1/10 of the time to close these deals because it's all set up for them, right? They don't have to do the marketing. They don't have to do a lot of the follow-up because the CRM does that, right? Like and in fact, most of our team leaders even have ISAs inside, like inside sales agents, to call the leads and warm them up, right? That's why you're paying the 50%. They get these E-teams addicted to leads and they stop trying to do their own business, right? Because they're like, I want to work 1,000 hours a year as a realtor and I want to make 300 grand. That's it. I don't care how that, who cares whether Zillow gets more leads than me who cares if the brokerage makes more per deal than I think, they used to? Like, it doesn't matter. I want to work 1,000 hours a year and I want to make 300 grand, right? That's a typical agent mentality that you can lean into. And that should make the brokerage pretty happy too, because that's 300 grand the brokerage makes per agent.
We've got a note here that says, now we just need more inventory. That's a different webinar. This is just how to get leads. You guys have to come back for a different one on that. And
well,
here's
what I'd say about that, Jeff, is that if this is no inventory situation, what's going to happen when things open up?
Yeah.
Because this is today, this quarter. Don't tell me there's no listings. Yeah. Because you can tell me there's no listings, but you can't tell me there's no commission. Because everyone's making money, and including us. So it doesn't matter. The inventory problem it's not even a problem. The deals are already happening.
And the last question, then we gotta end this, is how can this work for a new realtor? Valid question, with a smaller budget that maybe even $2,000 is out of reach. Is there a $500 a month? Would that even worth doing, or they need to go to something else and just put it all into SEO, or what's your?
Yeah, so that was the beginning when we talked about budgets. If you can do both, do both. But we always advocate a crawl, walk, run for agents. And so a platform like this is $500 a month, like for the platform, which you need to have with the CRM and the website and everything. And yeah, you can start as low as a $500 a month budget for sure, right? $10 cost per lead, depending on your market, you probably get 50 leads a month.
Got it. Appreciate that. So going back to the title of our session today, the secret to crushing it with hyperlocal SEO and ad strategy. I feel like trying to dilute it down to one, major secret. I feel like it's that there's a lie out there to ourselves that we can't compete with Zillow, which would be secret one, or lament one. And then the secret is that really anybody should be able, if they follow the recipe, should be able to compete. Not just compete with Zillow. Your quality of leads and your conversion rate will be much better than Zillow. Is that how you see it?
Well, the answer is yes, anyone can compete with Zillow, but the statement that should be said is that nobody should be trying to. That's not the point. The secret is that you can generate as much GCI from paid ads and Google SEO as you want. And it doesn't matter if you're an agent, team, or a broker. You can do it. You can do it very easily. You can hire other firms to do it, right? These are known commodities. These are facts. These are numbers, right? The numbers don't lie. It's not even, you're wrong. You're wrong if you think you can't compete. You're wrong if you think you can't generate a high ROI from your own internet marketing.
How about this? It's not magic, it's math.
There you go. I like it. I should have had you write my my title.
That's your new slogan. Hey, listen, we're gonna appreciate you making time for us today. If they did want to talk to you or your team about how to maybe look at Renaissance or do whatever, what's the best way to get in touch with somebody over at Real Estate Webmasters?
Super simple. rew.com, not .ca, but .com. rew.ca is a different place. Go to rew.com. I work on the enterprise space, so I typically work on brokerages over 500. But we have a whole team of 12 account managers here that are happy to speak to any agent, team, or smaller brokerage. And they're all trained on this stuff, and they're happy to help you. So yeah, rew.com.
Awesome, cool. I appreciate you, appreciate everybody else. Like I said, you'll be getting a recording. If you don't and you want one, please email me, jkennedy@leadingre.com. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.